This is a smartphone. It has a big touchscreen on the front and some cameras on the back. Over the past 15 years, pretty much all smartphones have looked like this and done basically the same things. Well, I'm here in Barcelona at Mobile World Congress with one question on my mind. What's next for smartphone displays? If this is what a smartphone has been for 15 years, where do we go from here? Well, here is a hint. Now, you might have seen something like this before, but trust me, later this year, it's going to get even cooler. So this display tech is called NXTPAPER, and it's made by TCL. Essentially, it's an LCD display with a matte feel to it and a battery-saving mode that replicates an e-ink display, similar to what you'd find on an e-reader. Because of the matte coating, the display produces virtually no glare, even under the harshest lighting conditions. And thanks to the monochrome mode, which TCL calls Max Ink mode, the display can be incredibly battery efficient, with the battery life of the phone not measured in hours, but in days. In the interest of full disclosure, TCL sponsored this video, but I have been a huge fan of this tech ever since it first appeared. I remember way back in 2020 when TCL first announced NXTPAPER. Back then, it was just a proof of concept and not part of an actual product. Eventually, we got the TCL NXTPAPER, a tablet that was the first commercially available device with a NXTPAPER display. TCL eventually followed that up with the TCL NXTPAPER phone concept, which we first saw at CES in 2023. This was one of the biggest hits of the show, with pretty much everyone raving about how cool it was. That led the company to quickly launch the TCL 40 NXTPAPER series, which finally brought the display tech to a phone you could really buy. So you might be asking yourself, why didn't TCL just use e-ink? While e-ink is wonderful for things like e-readers, it is an abysmal experience for smartphone purposes. Refresh rates are terrible, for example, so watching a video is going to be a miserable experience. Ghosting is also a problem, where imagery kind of hangs around the display when you move around. And the lack of vibrant color would also be a problem. TCL spent years designing NXTPAPER to offer the positives of e-ink, but with none of the negatives. NXTPAPER displays support full color at refresh rates of up to 120 Hz, making it great for smartphones. So yeah, that's one reason why everyone was so excited about this. But there's a lot more. I mentioned earlier that the display is really good at rejecting glare. This helps in all manners of situations and increases usability big time. However, it also helps reduce eye strain. Even when a typical smartphone isn't under harsh light, it still produces a small level of glare. You might not notice it, but your eyes need to compensate for that glare while you're staring at the screen. This tires your eyes out faster than when looking at something like the NXTPAPER display, which is designed to be easier on the eyes at a microscopic level. Speaking of eye strain, NXTPAPER technology also allows for better reduction of blue light. I'm sure you've heard about the negative effects of blue light on your eyes. You might even use an eye comfort mode toggle in your smartphone software to help offset blue light's effects. However, on most phones, all this does is change the overall hue of your display to be more yellow. This washes out the colors and makes your phone look weird, especially when you're in a place with not much light. NXTPAPER displays, though, are actually altered at the hardware level to reduce blue light issues. It's complicated to explain, but the LCD backlights are actually in an entirely different wavelength when compared to typical displays. So, your eyes are saved from blue light and your screen colors are never washed out. Those of us who like to doom scroll before bed will greatly appreciate this. In case you're not aware, there is evidence to suggest that blue light emissions can negatively impact your circadian rhythm, which is bad for having good, restful sleep. Now, I'm not saying you should buy a NXTPAPER phone so you can doom scroll even longer in bed, but I am saying that if you do that, you might as well do what you can to counteract the effects as best you can. Another thing the NXTPAPER displays do to help combat eye fatigue is something called circularly polarized light, or CPL. Basically, standard displays fire light straight at you, but TCL adds a CPL layer. So the light actually comes to your eyes in a spiraling motion, which helps to diffuse it and allow you to look at your screen for longer periods of time with no strain at all. Outside of all these benefits for your eyes, the matte, paper-like display covering is also a joy to use. Your finger glides across the lightly textured surface, which feels soft and pleasant. You'll also notice the lack of fingerprint smudges, which is another terrific benefit of NXTPAPER. It's so nice to use a phone and not need to wipe the screen off on my shirt multiple times a day. So I won't lie, the early iterations of NXTPAPER were super cool, but there was room for improvement. One of the trade-offs of NXTPAPER is that the display doesn't get as bright as most other displays on the market. For example, the first NXTPAPER phone had a peak brightness of just 500 nits, which is fine, but not as bright as most people are accustomed to these days. Over the years, though, TCL has made great strides, with the company's newest phone, the TCL NXTPAPER 70 Pro, featuring the latest NXTPAPER 4.0. This version reaches a peak brightness of 900 nits, which makes it great to use under pretty much any lighting situation. The new NXTPAPER 4.0 isn't just on the new phone either. TCL has this really cool device called the Note A1 NXTPAPER, which has a very unique fork of Android on it that keeps things as minimal as possible while still offering really cool features like automatically converting handwriting to typed text, AI recording, transcription, and translation, and it even has this optional keyboard folio for word processing on the go. If you need something a little more traditional, there's also the Tab A1 Plus NXTPAPER, which is a 12-inch Android tablet with the same button that phones have for quickly jumping into Max Ink mode. Speaking of Max Ink mode, this is not just turning off all the colors on your phone. This completely shifts Android into a simple, distraction-free mode that only features the core apps you need. That means Max Ink mode is good for when you want to read an ebook, sure, but it's also good if you're trying to cut down on social media, stay away from mobile games that are sucking up too much of your time, or just encourages you to go outside and touch grass, as they say. But the question I had at the top of this video is, what's next? NXTPAPER is in its 4th generation and is better, brighter, and more fully featured than ever. Where does TCL go from here? Well, I was lucky enough to see the future in action here at MWC, and it's this: NXTPAPER on an AMOLED screen. If you own a flagship smartphone from any brand, chances are high that it has an OLED panel. This makes sense, as modern smartphone OLEDs can achieve blazing peak brightness, have much deeper blacks with a nearly infinite contrast ratio, and are incredibly energy efficient. So far, we've only ever seen NXTPAPER displays built on LCD technology, but later this year, TCL is finally going to launch a NXTPAPER smartphone with an AMOLED panel. You can see the prototype of this here, but let me tell you, it looks even better in person. And not only does it look better, but the stats surrounding it are better than anything we've seen previously. Remember circularly polarized light, the CPL spirals I told you about earlier? Well, this AMOLED panel reaches 90% CPL, higher than we've ever seen before. Unlike the previous LCD versions that altered the backlight, this AMOLED version tunes the self-emissive pixels themselves to reduce blue light emissions to just 2.9%, which is crazy. NXTPAPER 4.0 already had exceptionally low blue light, but this is on another level. Most importantly, the peak brightness of this new version of NXTPAPER is much, much higher, more than 3 times as bright as even the brightest NXTPAPER display we've ever seen on a commercial product before. I am so excited to see what TCL will bring us later this year with these display developments. We've certainly seen a lot of cool smartphone display tech over the years, but this might just be the game changer. The thing that makes people stop and say, oh my gosh, how did I go without this for so long? Be sure to like and subscribe, as I'll definitely be talking more about the mysterious TCL phone with this AMOLED NXTPAPER panel on it as soon as it becomes available. But in the meantime, jump down into the comments and let me know what you think about all this. Have you experienced NXTPAPER before? Are you excited about the new AMOLED developments? Let me know your thoughts. I'll see you all down in the comments.